Howdy, this is the old gunsmith. We're starting a series here on the tools you will need to get started on working on your guns or gunsmithing in general. We'll go over some general tools, some thoughts, some ideas, some considerations that you should have when you're picking your tools or making your bench, and there'll be a series of them. So I hope you enjoy them, and let's get started. Carrying on with things that you need when you begin gunsmithing. We've covered most of the basic tools. I mean, they're really down-to-earth hammers and files and that sort of thing. The next thing you will probably want to get into are drills and taps. Drills you use all the time. Taps, obviously, if you're making a hole for a screw, you have to tap that hole so you can get the screw in. First thing to learn about taps is they come in three different sizes, or three different cuts. Taper, plug, and bottoming. Okay, the taper tap has got a long lead. You can see that half of the threads are cut at an angle going back 5, 6, 7 threads easily. And what that does is makes it easy to start in a hole that hasn't been tapped. The problem is that if you have a blind hole and there's a hole that doesn't go all the way through, you end up hitting the bottom and only half the hole or part of the hole is tapped. The plug tap has a shorter lead, so it will thread the hole to much nearer the bottom of the hole that you want to put the screw in. So it will start back in there and it will take up where this one left off. And at the end, if you want to go and thread all the way to the bottom, use a bottoming tap. If you notice, there's basically no lead on the bottoming tap. None of these threads are cut, maybe one or 1.5 threads on the very tip. It would be really difficult to start in a hole, but it will tap all the way to the bottom of the hole so that you can get a screw screwed all the way down into that blind hole.
And these aren't something you're going to find at any local hardware store.
Normally, if you go to a hardware store, you'll find the taper tap, or the taper tap, so the starter, because that's pretty much universal, and you use it for through holes. If you're going all the way through, it's just not a problem. These are, I think, 10 to 32s. There's another little trick, or I should say product out there that is very handy. If you want to check a screw, you got a screw came off a gun, you need to match it with another one, and you don't know what size it is. You have the screw checker, and you go and find the size of the hole. That's too big, that's too small, that's probably about right. And you try screwing it into here, and when you find the right size, it screws right in. And now if you want to cut this off to a certain length, you can measure it. I don't have the thing here. You can measure the length you want, and you go and take your hacksaw and hack it off here, and then go up to your grinder and finish it off. And you know, if you have a 1-inch screw, you have any size screw, any length screw you want, right up to 1 inch. You make it a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, it doesn't matter. But if you took this off of your gun and you want to find another one of the same to match it because the head was messed up or whatever, you just go ahead and use your screw checker and check it, and there you go. Obviously, one of the things you have to do is, if you're going to drill and tap a hole, is you need to know what size drill to use. And that's where this comes in. This is a 115-piece drill set. It sounds like overkill, and I understand that it sounds like overkill. After many years of fooling around with it and going out and buying a drill bit when I needed one, if I'm in the middle of the job and suddenly I need an odd-sized drill bit and I don't have it, I've got to stop. I've got to run into town. If it's a weekend or in the evening, the place may be closed. Now I'm out of business till the next day. This set, there is a set in the gunsmithing catalogs that runs about $400. Ridiculous. They're great drills, but this set came from Harbor Freight. This set came from Harbor Freight. I'm pretty sure it was right around 50 bucks. Now, the first thing people will tell you is that, yeah, it's 50 bucks, but the drills aren't worth a damn. They're too soft and they go bad really quick. And that's a true story. They're supposedly titanium nitride coated, and they're supposed to be all kinds of, you know, as good as anything else. They're not. But what they'll give you is a hole. They'll give you one hole, maybe 2 or 3 holes, depending on what material you're in. But then once you have used that drill and it dulls, you can always buy one drill bit from Brownells or whatever for a couple of bucks to replace it. And then you've got a good one in that size. And if you look at here, you can see the gold drill bits, and every once in a while you see a black one sitting in there. The black ones are the ones that I've replaced because I wore out the other ones. Those are the ones I use the most. So rather than spending all that money for a bunch of drills that I hardly ever use, I spent the money to have an entire set of 114 bits. This is all of the numbered bits, all of the lettered bits, and all of the fractional bits, up to about a half inch. So it just works up the sizes to a half inch, so that whatever size hole you need, you've got a drill bit for it. I keep this. It looks kind of funny, but I keep this in my drawer along with this set. What this is a page out of an old Brownells catalog that shows you the thread size and what the drill tap is, or the drill number is to tap that hole. You have to, for example, on a 648, which is used in the gun screws a lot, a number 31 drill is your trap drill size. So you drill your hole with a number 31 drill and then run your tap in, and your screw will fit. And it also gives you the clearance drill size. In other words, if the hole is screwed up and you can't retap it and it's stripped, you use a number 25 drill, and that will take all of the threads out of it. And then you can go and make it into a size larger, starting with a blank hole. But I keep that right up with this set, so that when I need to tap a hole, I know what drill size I need. This also came with this 115 piece set, and this tells you what size these drills are. Now sometimes you will have whether it be a gun or not, you will come up with a screw that you need to match, but you don't know what size it is. Well, you can measure it. You can take a pair of dial calipers, or in my case I've got a pair of electronic calipers that I can take any screw and I can look at, and if I want to do a clearance hole on whatever this is, I can look at it and say, okay, well, that's 187 thousandths. So I can go on here and say, okay, what's 187 thousandths? There's 185 is the number 13, 189. So the closest I'm going to get, 187.5. I need a 3/16 drill to drill out that screw, or to drill out that hole. So I keep that. That tells me I just go to that size bit. I've got a bit. I can make a hole. And I'm done. I don't have to run into town to find an odd size screw or odd size drill bit I don't have. The other thing, of course, is along with a tap, you've got to have a tap wrench. Always from the terribly small ones through the medium sizes to the larger ones. This one is particularly nice. I think this is a B square. The Walton company. Okay, so that's a Walton. This can go in the chuck of your drill bit, or of your drill, and you can put your tap in there. All right, we put our tap in there. We can first put the item in there, hold it, drill the hole. Now we got the hole in there without moving anything. Okay, now if I've got the piece in there that I just drilled, I can put this on, and this is going to be lined up exactly with the hole I just drilled because I haven't moved the setup. So now I'm not going to turn the drill on, but I can use this, the handle, and turn this, and start my hole. Use a little bit of lubricant on the tap, and if it binds, you back it out, clean off the chips, and then go back in. You don't pull it all the way out, and you continue working down until you finish tapping your hole. So that's a handy little tool from the Walton Company. Otherwise, you're dealing with, I don't know if this one's even big enough. No, that's too big. Okay. And yes, you do need a couple of different sizes of these. And it's a square shank, and you've got a square hole that it goes into, so you're not going to spin it out of there. And this goes back to wasn't that fun? Let's try this again. We're going to do this 10 times until we get it right. This is also a good reason why you probably should be I should be wearing a apron. But in this case, you're going to go back to your vise, and you're going to put that in there to start it, and be quite careful to try and get it aligned not only this way, but this way. You want it quite as vertical in both axes as you can to start it, because you're going to have to do it by hand, and that's what's going to happen most of the time. You're going to be tapping it by hand. And as we're talking about important tools for the gunsmith, by the way, this is a left-handed caliper. If everything looks backwards, I'm a lefty. So what can I tell you? I found a left-handed digital caliper and I bought it from Grizzly. I don't know if they still carry them or not. One of your other important tools, and one that you may have in your shop already, and by the way, it's not loaded. I double checked it, made sure it was safe before I started playing with it. This is another very important tool, because again, when you drill a hole, you want to make sure it's correct not only in this axis, but in this axis, and this will ensure that your holes are in fact perpendicular to your piece that you're drilling, as long as your piece is not angled. So they're quite important. This is a little benchtop one. It's all I ever use. It goes all the way up to 1/2 inch and will do anything I need to do. This is not a machine shop. I don't have any heavy-duty steel that I'm cutting. I'm just working on gun parts, which are normally less than 1/8 of an inch thick, sometimes as much as 1/8 of an inch thick. And a small $60, $70 drill press like this is really all you need, unless you're in the business professionally. Then you might want to go ahead and invest in a better drill press. But this one from Central Machinery, which I think again is our friends over at the Cheap Chinese Tool Store, or better known as Harbor Freight, is all I need to do all the work I do on guns. So that pretty much covers our drills, taps, and drill presses. All right, thank you for watching this video. If you've liked what you've just seen, we're going to be doing some more of them. We'll cover a lot of the basic tools to get started. Just stay tuned, watch the Alfa Charlie Papa channel, and we'll have some more ideas for you. For now, happy trails. Happy trails to you until we meet again.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.